Kenya tunayoipenda, tuwe tayari kuilinda na tujenge taifa letu. Ndio wajibu wetu. Kenya istahili heshima, tuungane mikono pamoja kazini, kila siku tuwe na shukrani.
Oh God of all creation, bless our lot of nation. Justice be a shield, our defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty, plenty be found within our borders. Oh God of all creation, bless this our lot of nation. Justice be a shield, our defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty, plenty be found within our borders. Let one and all arise, in hearts both strong and true. Service be our earnest endeavor, and a homeland of Kenya, the heritage of splendor, firm may we stand to defend. Oh yeah, Kenya is a country, our own motherland, the place where we were born, bled and brought up, and everybody liveth as a place where they call home. Ours is this great nation, let's be proud of it. At all with one accord, in common bond united, build this a nation, together you and I, and the glory of Kenya, the fruit of our labor, fill every heart with thanksgiving. That Lord with one accord, in common bond united, build this a nation, together you and I, and the glory of Kenya, the fruit of our labor, fill every heart with thanksgiving. Kenya is a country, our own motherland, the place where we were born, bled and brought up, and everybody liveth as a place where they call home. Oh, what is this great nation? Let's be proud of it. Kenya is a country, our country, our own motherland, the place where we were born, bled and brought up, and everybody liveth as a place where they call home. Oh, what is this great nation? Let's be proud of it. Kenya is a country, our own motherland, the place where we were born, bled and brought up, and everybody liveth as a place where they call home. Oh, what is this great nation? Let's be proud of it. Oh God of all creation, bless this our lot of nation. Justice be a shield, our defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty, plenty be found within our borders. Oh God of all creation, bless this our lot of nation. Justice be a shield, our defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty, plenty be found within our borders. Let one and all arise, in hearts both strong and true. service be honest endeavor, and a homeland of Kenya, the heritage of splendor, farm may we stand to defend. Oh yeah, Kenya is a country, our own motherland, the place where we were born, bled and brought up, and everybody liveth as a place where they call home. Ours is this great nation, let's be proud of it. At all with one accord, in common but united, build this a nation, together you and I, and the glory of Kenya, the fruit of our labor, fill every heart with thanksgiving. That Lord with one accord, in common but united, build this a nation, together you and I, and the glory of Kenya, the fruit of labor, fill every heart with thanksgiving. Kenya is a country, our own motherland, the place where we were born, bled and brought up, and everybody liveth as a place where they call home. Oh, what is this great nation? Let's be proud of it. Kenya is a country, our country, our own motherland, the place where we were born, bled and brought up, and everybody liveth as a place where they call home. Oh, what is this great nation? Let's be proud of it. Kenya is a country, our own motherland, the place where we were born, bled and brought up, and everybody liveth as a place where they call home. Oh, what is this great nation? Let's be proud of it. Oh God of all creation.
Good evening to our listeners both at Ndereti FM and Simcha TV. I want to welcome you this evening. Today we have a very special sitting with a very special guest. Venye tunawaambiaga sisi ni kio cha jamii. Today we have a very good guest from the National Legal Aid Service, a state agency under the Office of Attorney General and Justice. So we are very much privileged for them to grace our community radio, as we've been telling you, Ndereti FM, Simcha TVs, where we want to localize this conversation, where you cannot get this conversation. It's only at here our community radio, where we want to localize, educate, and as we promised you, we will be bringing you different expertise, different professional, different guests, and even our elected leaders that we've elected to put them on account on what they should do on us. So I will not take much of your time. I want to welcome our very special guest. So anaweza jintroduce, atuambie yeye anaitwa nani, ametoka ofisi gani, na role yake community ni gani. Na sasa unajua tukisikia gava, sisi vijana tunaogopa. There's that perception we have when we hear is a state agency. We need to understand what is state agency, what is their role, what is her role, and more so we are glad to see women empowerment to this level. Karibu sana Madam Fresiah.
Thank you.
Here at Ndereti FM.
Thank you.
Ndereti FM is a community radio where we are online on our Facebook pages, and we have Simcha TV also, which is online. It is basically a conversation for our people. The purpose why we started it is for civic education. So we are glad when we sent the invitation, you gladly responded and you say, actually will not come on April 22nd.
Yeah.
We want to attend the entire week so we can engage with the people. As much as we are located in Kiambu, it is not limited to a Kiambu conversation.
Yes.
When we are online, we have even our friends on the diaspora, other counties, and our networks where they were aware that the office will be coming. So karibu sana.
Thank you.
Ongelesha watazamaji wa Simcha TV
Yes.
na Ndereti FM. Tuambie wewe ni nani, jukumu yako ni gani kwa community na ofisi yako ni gani.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes. Thank you very much, James.
Yes.
And the entire team of Ndereti FM.
Yes.
I'm glad to be here.
Asante.
My name is Fresiah Gathumbi.
Yes.
I'm the acting CEO, the National Legal Aid Service.
Yes.
As you have rightly said, the National Legal Aid Service
Yes.
is a state agency established under the Legal Aid Act 2016.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And that the Legal Aid Act came in force pursuant to Article 48
Yes.
of the Constitution.
Yes.
And that article, in a nutshell, provide access to justice for all.
Yes.
So the National Legal Aid Service is very critical to the Kenyan citizens because this is the agency that is mandated to enhance access to justice for all. When you talk about access to justice for all, what that means is costs should not be unpayment.
Yes.
Of course, we know legal services are quite expensive.
Yes.
The legal process are quite expensive. But what the state can to do is it's able to relieve that burden of pursuing justice to the government, to the wananchi. And we do it in various ways. Maybe we are going to discuss about it. Because now, besides enhancing access to justice, our also responsibility is to make sure that justice moves closer to Wanjiku. And that's why we are here for a whole week, just to create awareness to the Kenyan citizens, not only where they can get our services, but also handling various issues around the law.
Yes.
Thank you.
Maybe to expound a little bit better, when we say state agency, we would want to know how the National Legal Aid now came to be part. As you said, it is under Article 48 of the Kenyan Constitution. And maybe we would want to understand, because we know now we are having a new constitution which was formed in 2010. And my viewers who today watanisamehea, I don't know so many legal terms, but I'm privileged to have the State Council being here with us so they can educate us. So we wanted to know the linkage between it being formed as a state agency and then it was infringed in our constitution. How did it come to be? What were the struggles there before? Because in our community, they say that people say, ogopa kesi na uogope ugonjwa. So there is that fear that we already, the phobia. Maybe you tell us the phobia of legal is called what? Hatujui. Sasa, you can tell us.
It has been a journey of establishing a state agency because this process started way back in 1989 where the first initiative was started under the Office of Attorney General and basically was to have a state agency that provide free legal services to wananchi. You can say we have free education, we have free medical care, but again, we didn't have any station that was available for Kenyans just to walk in and demand legal services at the government expense. So before that, we had other, we call them non-state agents like the civil society. And actually sometimes we are being confused like with the likes of Akina Fida, Kituo cha Sheria, because we do more like what they do. But of course now these are non-state agents. But we are really, really grateful because they went ahead of us. They were very, very critical in lobbying to ensure that we have a state agency. It was until 2007 when we started under the Ministry of Justice as pilot programs. So we wanted to test and see, is there a need for state agents? The way we are nowadays, we are hearing that there is a primary health care. Of course, it had been a journey. So even in terms of journey of justice, so that's where we started as the Ministry of Justice. And what is in record is that every Wednesday, the Ministry of Justice allowed the Kenyans to visit that ministry and meet with advocates for free legal advice. So from that, they were so overwhelmed, the advocates that were there. And actually one of the recommendations is that we need an independent office that will be able to attend to Kenyans free of charge. That actually a Kenyan can walk in with a legal issues that touches all aspects of life and be helped without being charged. So from the Ministry of Justice, they started piloting, and we had 5 pilot projects. We had 2 pilot projects in Nairobi, and one was piloted to do with family matters. Family matters, I'm talking about succession matter, separation, divorce, and the other pilot project was piloting on the program of children in need of care and protection. When parents separate, what happens to this minor who was born out of love? They still have a right, but how do you enforce that right? If parents are not talking, then the law has to take its course. Then the other pilot project was initiated in Kisumu, and this was dealing with paralegals. What is the role of paralegals? Paralegals, we know paralegals live within the community.
Yes, within the community.
Here in Karuri, I don't know whether we have law firms, but I know in other locality, it's not very easy for you to get a law firm, but you may find a paralegal. So if the paralegal are in the community, what is their role as far as access to justice is concerned? The 4th pilot project was in Eldoret, and basically this was to pilot and test what is the role of alternative dispute resolution. Do we need to have all conflict moving to court, or is there another alternative dispute resolution? I know you've been in the justice space for some time, and you know that even before independence, we still had our wazee resolving issues. And they would arbitrate on issues, and that matter would be settled with finality. And of course, now in Nakuru, we had another pilot project, and that pilot project was initiated to test now the issue of children in conflict of the law. Remember, Nairobi was children in need of care and protection. Now, what happens to these children who are in conflict of the law? How do we take them through the justice system? And finally, we had a pilot project in Mombasa, and Mombasa was initiated to test or to pilot now for the capital offenses that were being arraigned in lower courts. Before the issue of legal aid started, judiciary had what we call a pauper brief and a pro bono scheme, but in judiciary. Pauper brief and pro bono. But now this was only limited to capital offenses, and these accused persons who are arraigned in high court, and they are faced or they are charged with murder cases. You find that murder cases before our 2010 constitution, the sentence was death. Of course, now, death of life imprisonment. And of course, these are very severe sentence. So, and of course now, for a common mwananchi to go through the process without representation, there was very high possibility of miscarriage of justice. So they needed a representation. So after piloting for about 7 years, a report was done, and one of the recommendations is that we need a state agency, independent from non-state agents, to offer free legal aid services. So with the support of the non-state actors who are civil society, now the journey of lobbying for an act of parliament started. So all this was being done, and we didn't have a framework to establish now the National Legal Aid Service. Lucky enough for us, now we had now the 2010 constitution that came in place, and it was so categorical, Article 48, that access to justice for all and cost should not be an impediment. And then we had also Article 50H, which also provided that no accused person should go trial without representation at the government expense. So those 2 articles, of course, now they gave us the impetus, they gave us now the morale to move, and of course now in 2016 we had an act of parliament that now established the National Legal Aid Service as an independent institution that is able to offer free legal aid services to all Kenyans. Now, why under the Office of Attorney General? See, like now, when 2010, when the Constitution of 2010 came in place, it also limited the ministries that we had to have. So the Ministry of Justice now was merged with the Office of Attorney General. And of course now we have the Office of Attorney General and Department of Justice. And now NLAS was established under the Ministry of Justice, so we moved together with our mother ministry, which is now current the Department of Justice. But technically we are supposed to be independent, but now reporting through our ministry, which is the Department of Justice. If I may mention a little bit about the design of the Legal Aid Act. The design of the Legal Aid Act has taken what we call a collaborative approach. That's not the government that is offering free legal aid services, but we also partners. We partner with other legal aid providers in the country. So the Act has also identified very critical stakeholders in the legal aid space, or in the legal aid, in access to justice space, and we have paralegals being recognized in the Act, we have the civil society being recognized in the Act, we have the NGOs being recognized in the Act, we have law students who are still, they are still learning. The law has allowed them that actually they can offer legal aid through having legal aid clinics. We also have state departments, like children department. The law has allowed them. So it has taken a collaborative approach, whereby we are bringing all our efforts together so that we are able to meet the need of access to justice. And that to us, what that means to us is we can be able to partner with like-minded, like Ndereti FM, and able to bring our services closer. In other words, what I'm saying to us, legal aid, justice is not found in courts. We have other avenues, we can still get justice.
Clearly you've painted a good picture of the journey that you came, but there's still a gap that people need to understand exactly the role of the National Legal Aid. We've gotten the history of how it was formed and how it came to be an enactment of Parliament. Now we need to understand, if I would want to approach National Legal Aid, what are they? What specific are the expectations? What should be my expectation? How should we work closer, and who qualifies to those services maybe?
Thank you very much for that question, James. Talk like I'll start by who qualify for that. In as much as I'm saying that we are established to enhance access to justice for all, our targets or our beneficiaries, what we call the indigent persons. This indigent person, these are Kenyans who are not in a position financially to engage the services of an advocate. So the first thing when you come to our office, of course there are requirements that you need to make a formal application, but that doesn't mean that you need to do, like we call those heavy drafting, like the petition people make to court. So sometimes if you're able to write, read and write, there's a form you can download in our website. You are able to download and fill that form. If not, once you come to our office, that's the first thing that we'll do to you. We'll help you to apply. There's a form that you fill. And of course, in filling that form, there's critical information that we want from you. One, we'll also want to know your age. And then number two, we also want to know your vulnerability. Because our target group is indigent, vulnerable, and marginalized. And then, of course, now we'll want to know the location where you come from. And of course, this is to help us, of course, now to know where our services are much needed. And of course, now, the other thing that we look at is your financial means. And of course, we have the regulation. One of the things we look at, we call it, that is the criteria we use, we call it the means test. Of course, now we need to know how much does James have, or how much does James earn. And of course, now, our ceiling is anyone who earns less than 30,000, and this is net, of course now qualifies to be our client. Besides that, we also go ahead and see, because when we talk about the net income, it's not only salaried people. We have business people, and I get to, they look at that. But besides that, we also look at various factors, like one, the possibility of the possibility of the success of that case. For example, if you're coming to sue somebody. And basically where we apply this criteria is just to ensure that the limited resources we have goes to the needy and the right people. So we look at the vulnerability, the marginalized person, and their financial status. Those are the things that we look at. Answering the second question, what is our role? In broad, but I'm going to break it down, is to enhance access to justice. By enhancing access to justice, that one, we need to make justice affordable. And making it affordable, you find that we use various models to ensure that somebody gets justice. And that's why I started by saying, to us, justice is not gotten in court alone. And you see now most people, especially in the community, say ogopa kesi because they're always threatened to patane kotini. Yes, you see, they're always threatened to patane kotini. So if you come to us will not take you to court first. We will try to exhaust other alternatives that we have to ensure justice, and especially in family cases. For example, you are fighting over a land that was left behind by your parents. So who are parties? Who are parties there? They are siblings. And if your siblings will help you to sit down and help you to resolve that conflict. And how do we help you to resolve that conflict? Now we help you through mediation. So alternative dispute resolution is one of the delivery models that we use. Why do we encourage people to sit down and talk? For us, when you come to our office, for example, if it's a land matter, and then let me use succession matters because you've had those cases, especially from this county. Succession matter. It's one sibling who has come complaining against the other sibling. So we'll issue with a summon letter. That summon letter is for within 7 days. By good luck, the other parties happen to come. We are able to help you go through the process. Within a day, we're able to come up with a settlement agreement. What does that mean? That within 7 days, you are able to resolve that matter. As opposed of that matter going to court. We have data from court, even some clients who have assisted in court, they have cases that have gone for 20 years, 30 years. And what does that mean? That actually you will die before benefiting from the inheritance that was supposed to support you. So, mediation or alternative dispute resolution is one of the delivery models. The other one is awareness creation. What we are doing today. Because we believe an empowered Kenya, they will be able to solve conflict even themselves. But besides that, in the event that you have an issue, you know where to go. Right now here, we've come to know that there is the National Legal Aid Service. But again, we do not work alone. We do have other organizations. For example, in Kiambu, we don't have an office. But we could be having a paralegal who works with us in Kiambu. So other than you coming to Nairobi to our offices, it's easier for you to go to that paralegal that we work with. And then the other way is now court representation. But to us, court representation is the last resort. And especially we go to court where mediation has failed. Because now if mediation has failed, we can't leave you like that. You haven't gotten justice. We need to move your court to, we need to move your case to court. And now we do it in two ways. One, we do what we call self-representation. Self-representation, we help you to draft the pleadings. In other words, we give you the technical support. We help you to draft the pleadings. We guide you on how to file those pleadings. Currently, you'll have to pay the filing fees yourself. But our services are free of charge in our office. You don't pay myself or any other advocate in the office. So for drafting your pleadings, do it free. We train you on how to represent yourself, and we walk with you through the journey. In the event that you are not able to help you in self-representation, now we have to give you an advocate now to file your case to that. So currently, we are very limited advocates. We are about how many advocates? You can imagine, we are about 13 advocates for the whole country.
The entire country? The entire country.
Because currently we are in 11 counties, but taking our services in a first approach. So in every county, you can imagine there's only one advocate. And you can imagine the work is so demanding, it's very huge. And that's why I'm saying, like now for us, we do apply other models before going to court. Because you can imagine, if you have to take your case as James today, I'll be with you the whole day in court. But if I'm going to be in the office, I can be able to attend to about other 7 clients that come in various cases. So whereby it's either your case is very complex, but also from our own observation, we look that James is not a person that is able to represent themselves, either because of the challenges you have in terms of communication, age, your vulnerability, you're totally not able to. There are advocates that you partner with. So we'll have to refer to your case to one of our partners. And of course, out of goodwill, because currently we are yet to start paying them, and then I'll be able to represent you. And of course now, the other option also, we also referral. For example, we work so closely with the Kituo cha Sheria, we work so closely with FIDA. It could be there's also another legal aid provider in Kiambu County that is able to handle that matter. We also refer that matter there.
And there's something that we mentioned on weighty of a case. You look on the possibility of the case, maybe if I'm suing someone, you look on the possibility of me maybe winning. Maybe you would want to expound on that conversation, because I found it very interesting. Where you say you do mediation, you do training on self-representation, and again you work with someone. But again, there is what you mentioned, there is a possibility maybe of that case you can advise James, even if you have the best of the best advocates. But now there is what you mentioned on the possibility where now you come in, and now we need to know on the possibility, and now saying that stating that with the restricted resources you have, how again does legal aid sustain? Why do you benefit? Why do you want just to support people? What is your benefit, or why is it that it is, as much as we understand the legal justice is a human right issue, as what you've said, but there is an organization that you need to sustain yourselves. You need to have other advocates. Saying you have limited resources in terms of human resource. How again do you work to support yourself? Starting with what you said, the possibility of a case maybe to
well, I know Kenyans are very interesting people. And sometimes somebody will come to office with a case. There are various factors that we look at. As an advocate, number one, I look at what is the subject matter of a case. There's what we call the cause of action. I don't know how to break down without getting very technical. But I know maybe my colleagues will expand on that, because now for them they're going to talk about specific. I'm talking about, for example, employment matter. If somebody was maybe fired 10 years ago, already in terms of times of limitation.
The time frame.
Time frame. There's a time frame within which you're supposed to
have
to lodge that case.
That
exactly.
Case,
So when you come to our office and you're coming 20 years after a cause of action took place, definitely that is a tall order for us, because what that means is we need to start seeking leave to file that case out of time. You get? That is requiring resources for me to go and file that case out of time. And then after you have been allowed, then you start the journey of now filing your claim. You see? So you may find that a person who come within the time frame within they're supposed to, they have a higher chances of winning that case as opposed to you who have come 20 years later. In terms of land, you come, you don't even have any evidence to show that actually this is my land. You see? And our system, we call it is adversarial system. Our courts are courts on evidence. I know, and sometimes when they say, I'm not doubting what you're telling me. I totally believe you. I totally believe you. But this is an adversarial system whereby you have to table your evidence. The other side table their evidence before a neutral arbiter. And then now, looking at the evidence table before the court, then the court has to make a decision. So where you do not have supporting documents, how will I move court? Definitely that is a weak case. So those are a few scenarios that we look into. I know my colleagues will be here, will tell you, for example, now land issue, what are you required? So I don't want to get into that.
Sure.
Yes, I don't want to preempt what they're going to discuss, but of course now those are the factors that you look at. Again, the other one, you find that this is a case that has been already determined at the lower court. You know, our court, we have a hierarchy, and the Supreme Court is the higher court. So you look at the case at the trial court, that is the lower court. You did not succeed.
Yes.
You went to the high court for appeal. Yes. Still, you did not succeed. And then now you want me to take that court maybe to the court of appeal, the Supreme Court. Also, there are so many other factors. Jurisdiction comes in place. For example, which matter do you take to Supreme Court? Not all matters go to Supreme Court. And here you are, you say like, now, since I didn't succeed in the court of appeal, I know the Constitution provides the highest court in this country is the Supreme Court. I want you to take my case to Supreme Court. So there are various factors that we look into. Yes.
Yes. Quite you've expounded very well. Also, you mentioned about paralegals.
Yes.
And those are just high names that we get in the community. So maybe you work with paralegals. People want to understand, how do you work with paralegal? Who are these paralegal? And do you have that role that you maybe support training them or something of sort as the National Legal Aid? And do you also do regulation on those? And also adding to that, maybe you can focus on, you said you really work with those people who they are not financially okay. Suppose now maybe I don't have trust with the lawyer or an advocate I was working, but I have the resources. Would I get the same services at the NLAS? Maybe you can also mention, as I look who is interacting with us at our platforms. Yes.
To start with, if you have resources or you're a man of means, that is a case that we cannot take. But of course now we can't just send you away like that. Maybe we can just advise and give you legal advice. And of course sometimes you may say that our legal advice, if you're not taking case, no, it's up to you to do with that information that we have given you. Number two, paralegals. As I mentioned, paralegals are very, very critical when it comes to enhancing access to justice to the marginalized, vulnerable, and injured person. And of course now, for us, we look at paralegals like the bridge between the community and the legal aid provider like NLAS and the advocates. And I would proudly say that the Legal Aid Act is the only legislation that has recognized a paralegal and the role of the paralegal. There's no other legislation in Kenya that I've come across so far apart from the Legal Aid Act. And of course this was informed by the pilot project that was initiated in Kisumu, and we saw the benefits of working with paralegal. One, say that they are within the community. Number two, they understand the language and the dynamics and the culture of the community. So in terms of working with paralegal, we work a lot with paralegal. We've done a lot of training for paralegals. Like, since the enactment of the Legal Aid Act, I can say like we've trained about 800 paralegals across the country on the Legal Aid Act. And why on the Legal Aid Act and the Legal Aid General Regulation is just to sensitize the paralegals on the opportunities that are available in the Legal Aid Act. Because now, as I mentioned, the Legal Aid Act being the first legislation recognizing paralegals, the Act has allowed us to accredit paralegals as legal aid providers, but not individual paralegals, but now paralegals as an organization. If paralegals have an organization, we are going to accredit them. What does that mean? It means that once you've been accredited, we'll be referring matter from NLAS to paralegal institution, and then now they are able to offer legal aid services on our behalf at our own expense. We'll be able to give grants to paralegals to support some of the programs they have in the community. When it comes to sensitization, creating awareness, we are not in the community, it's the paralegals. So the paralegals are able to tell us, this area, this is where your service is needed. So we also work with them when it comes to, they mobilize for us, whenever we want to conduct our activities, like awareness creation. And of course, in terms of regulating, I wouldn't say we are the Act does not allow us to regulate per se, but of course now we'll be coordinating their work, especially those who are going to be accredited.
Yes.
But we are also trying to see, is it possible, and this is a conversation we are having with paralegals, because we know they have been working without regulation.
Yeah, sure.
If we have to move the role of paralegal to the next level,
sure.
How well can we work with paralegal? How well can we work with paralegal? Now I know there's a paralegal organization that actually for you to be accredited, you need to be a member of Paralegal Society of Kenya.
Yes.
This is a body that now we are hoping that we'll be able to work together with NLAS so that to ensure that paralegals are able to do the work that they're supposed to do and also protect the work that paralegals do from those people that are not able to do what they're supposed to do. Yes, so paralegals are very critical to us.
Okay.
Yes.
Santi, I'm seeing our viewers are really quite happy and interacting with us. As our producer prepares a break session for about few minutes, I'll read out the question that our viewers are interacting. Naweza tuwekea wimbo ya mapambano ya Ndogi Githuku. I'm seeing someone is requesting. I can see Madam Anne Wainene saying she's tuned in. Charity Nyambura is saying tuned in. King Lagna, I was about to ask if they are working with grassroots level organizations like CBOs and faith-based organizations. You'll focus on that. This is nice conversation. Are there nice conversation if it will be there for the entire week? Alafu James, could you ask the guest if they work with interns and how can the young people benefit from experience and mentorship program through NLAS? We have Michael Mboro from Bunge Mashinani. Bunge Mashinani is a grassroots NGO and has a well structures of having volunteers, trainers of trainers to go again to the community and sensitize them on meaningful engagement with government, legal issues and what. Maybe they might get in touch with you and see whether they can have a framework on how you can partner. Michael Mboro is saying Direct FM, you are God sent for bringing such guest Mashinani. Legal is such an important need to our people tuned in. Please ask our guest if they can give Direct FM a monthly show dedicated for legal. Huyo amefurahia sana ana watch. Maybe I would request our producer to play a break kidogo, then tukirudi we can focus on that, and then we see how do you work with young people. We saw young people going to the street, very dedicated to fight for this nation. I don't know whether the NLAS has a public interest case where they take up. We don't need to come maybe to offices. This is a human rights issue. This is a public interest, like what we saw, young people going to the street, abduction cases, and people are not aware, but maybe you are aware of a certain case that is happening. Producer, kazi kwako, ndio tukirudi tukuje tumalizie. Asante sana.
Kupokonywa maisha na kutatuzuia sisi wananchi kunyakuwa uhuru wetu na haki ya jasho letu, na haki ya jasho letu. Kupiga magoti mbele ya hawa wauaji, bila shaka sisi pia ni watu, hali ya utumwa tumeikataa, hali ya utumwa tumeikataa. Kuwa mashamba yetu, tupiganie uhuru wetu, tuikomboe tutoe elimu yetu, utamaduni na viwanda vyetu, utamaduni na viwanda vyetu. Sisi hatutaki kudhulumiwa, hatutaki tena mauaji, ili kupetuliangushe haki na uhuru zichanue, haki na uhuru zichanue. Na haki zetu Kenya, Kenya, na haki zetu wa Kenya tupiganie. Mashamba yetu wa Kenya, Kenya, mashamba yetu wa Kenya tupiganie. Katiba yetu Kenya, Kenya, katiba yetu wa Kenya
This is where we make the conversation count. As we promised you, we'll be bringing you different expertise, professionals, even our elected leaders to be accountable and to tell us, to help us achieve the role of civic education. Today we are very much privileged where we were visited by our very special guest from the National Legal Aid Service. We've got to learn what they do. Madam Fresiah has quite expounded on what NLAS does. Maybe to some of you who've never heard about NLAS, but we've never even knew that seeking justice is your right under the Article 48. Sisi tunajua to the bills of right, where we need access to health, access to water, access to education. But now, today, tunasoma vitu zingine kadhaa where having legal representation is also your right. Na tume have our viewers who are interacting with us. It's good to acknowledge. Thank you, Madam Anne Wainaina, Charity Nyambura Bigga, King Lagna, Mike Komboro, and for the question that were there, someone was asking, maybe do you have room for interns to come and volunteer with you to have mentorship and to understand the entire legal concept, because the justice space is here it's just for the few, and we appreciate for that. And also I was asking, do you also take up public interest cases? If you find, you might find a case that is out there publicly well known, maybe do you take up? In our spaces, what we do here, before we were in Dereti, we were a community. Dereti is a component of a network that is called Youth Training Empowerment Network, where we train people on governance issues, and we saw when we were trying to highlight injustices in the community, our stories were censored. So that's why we were able to have a component of media. Also, in that line, on issues of governance, where you see there are those issues that we go through zenye public wanatuletea, we find there is an Auditor General report that was brought, and it is our ruralist community to react on that. Say some few billions are missing, but our people are not informed. We would want to take that issue and go to court. Do you handle such cases, or how do you guide such setup, such community organization? Maybe you can mention something. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I'll start by responding to the issue of the internship and mentorship.
Yes.
We believe in mentorship, and that's one thing we do.
Yes.
At any given time. Like when you come to office, we have about 12 interns.
Yes.
And these interns are from ICT, law, those who are learning conflict resolution.
Yes.
And of course, it cuts across. And where we are not able to take them in, we also refer them to some of our partners. And why are we taking internship? Why are we taking interns or mentorship? We believe in calculating the spirit of voluntarism, especially to the young people. And the reason is you find that as people grow, they are losing the culture of giving back to the society. And we believe it's only through having these mentorship programs or interns, we can be able to intercalate, because we have had testimonies of people who have gone through our office. And actually, because legal aid, I'll say this is the only opportunity that will bring you to the reality of what is happening on the ground. And of course now the time period is 3 months. We start with 3 months.
Yes.
And of course, unless now there is a possibility of extension, but we try to limit to 3 months so that we are able to give people opportunities to come and intern to us.
Yes.
And anyone who would want to intern, maybe they can send their application to info@nlas.go.ke. We'll get to look at that with that application.
Yes.
If we have an opening, because currently we have some interns, actually from all the university.
Yes.
Yeah, actually we received, some are going to come from next month, from Catholic University, Mount Kenya, Strathmore, all those universities, we get them. On the issue of public interest case, I would say yes, that is one of our mandates. However, we are only limited to specific cases that touches to the beneficiaries of our services, the vulnerable groups. So there are other public interest litigation when you're not able to take or represent to court. However, we can guide where can you get help in as far as this public interest litigation is concerned. Because we are in a network in the access to justice space. And actually, the Department of Justice, we also have a department that is called NASC that deals with anti-corruption issues. So we have government agents that may be mandated to at least deal with issues that are not within our mandate. Because you see, like now we talk about autonomous independent. So for us, we'll meet ourselves to public interest litigation that touches on the vulnerable groups and specifically to areas that is concerned to legal aid. But that doesn't mean that we can't help where a case has been identified. I would say currently we've not been able to take any public interest litigation because we are under the Office of Attorney General, and when you are filing those kind of cases, the first responder is the Attorney General. So you'll be telling me to sue my boss. But of course now, we can't leave any applicant who need help in that area unless we guide them, because we know the institution like Katiba Institute that actually deals with public interest litigation, and for them their mandate is so open and so wide, they can be able to accommodate various cases. I think you had also mentioned about why 22nd of April.
Why 22nd of April?
22nd of April is very, very, very critical and very important to us as National Legal Aid, because this is the day that the Legal Aid Act was enacted, or it became an act of parliament. And you can imagine, from 1989, without a legal framework until 22nd of April. Of course now, 22nd of April 2016. So we felt that this day has to be celebrated, because even as a government, we were able to achieve a milestone that was not there. See, like we have the giant of access to justice. Of course, we say for us, we're just writing on the gains that were done by the giant of of those who fought for access to justice. For this day is very, very critical to us, because it reminds us where we are coming from. It also gives us an opportunity to sit and reflect. Are we doing justice to this act that people fought to have it in place? And now for this month or for this year, we've decided, at least now for the whole week, we are going to come to Dereti, and we are so grateful for Dereti agreeing to partner with us, that every day we'll have an advocate. From the states coming at least to educate the people of Kiambu on various legal issues. So today I started the week by sensitizing them about this National Legal Aid Service. I'll share our physical address. A physical address. Tomorrow we have a colleague who will come to talk about land issues. So our listeners, prepare yourself with all land issues. You're not going to be charged. To get free legal advice. We'll have somebody come on I've lost track, because now I started.
Today is Tuesday.
Today is Tuesday.
Tomorrow is Wednesday.
So on Thursday we'll have somebody come talk about family matters. Divorce, separation, children need of care and protection.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I have a child. The baby daddy is not supporting. What am I supposed to do? It's your right to fight for that, because a child does not have a voice. So he can only have a voice through either parents. And we talk about child neglect. It's not only women that can, I mean, move court or can fight for their children. Men, we are seeing actually men coming up in that area.
Yes.
Talking about issue of GBV, SGBV, we also have a colleague coming to talk about that.
Yes.
The invite of us having monthly show,
Yes.
the Narrative FM will tell us whether they are willing to host us
Yes.
monthly.
Yes,
but
sure.
actually, for us, we can see how we can
Work
work.
together,
Yes, if it's not monthly,
Yes.
how frequent can we be able to come? Because we know, working with Empowered Kenya, it's also easy, because at least they're able to call out on their leaders when they're not working. Even for us, they have a right to go even to court and say, this act was passed in 2016.
Yes.
However, we are not feeling the presence of government
And
agencies
it's
far.
state funded.
And it's state funded.
Sure.
Of course, we're doing like that.
Yes.
You mentioned, I've forgotten the name of that organization. that
Bunge
used
Mashinani.
Bunge Mashinani.
Yes.
Actually, that's a very, very brilliant idea. And I
Yeah.
think we can see how to partner with them.
Yes.
Even for us, if they are able to work with them and have play, because actually we do sometimes in our trainings,
Yes.
we do those, the modeling, how a court setup needs to
Oh,
be.
you have a curriculum.
We don't have a curriculum,
okay.
but of course now, when we are doing self-representation,
Yes.
sometimes we act out
Oh.
how you're supposed to represent yourself. And
Yes.
basically it's just to demystify these court processes.
Yes.
Yes, so people should not fear.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they should not fear.
Maybe that's a good entry, maybe where
Yeah.
you can partner with them.
Yes,
And
yes.
us can also have,
Yes.
and have captured those and have, as we're having
Exactly.
this conversation,
Yes.
we need to also to highlight them in our spaces where
Exactly.
people can learn. We can, yes, it's a good point of entry.
Yeah.
Maybe to ask you, you can share with us a few success stories that you would say NLAS has been part of. Then we hear also the challenges that NLAS go, and what is our responsibility as a community? What is our responsibility? How can we come and support the NLAS? Because we are seeing is a state department. Hatufai kuiogopa, and tujue mtu akisikia now is a state. Na mimi kuna kesi nataka kupeleka hii sasa. Is there conflict of interest? So we would want to hear, maybe in the interest of time, we would want to understand the success stories that maybe NLAS can say they have achieved, the challenges they grow, and what they should expect from us as a citizen to support their work. Yes.
Success stories, there are so many. And I'll try just to highlight maybe a few.
Yes.
I'll say especially in family matters. In family matters, we've had a success story whereby families were not seeing eye to eye.
Yes.
And because of that, it had strained the relationship as siblings. So through our office, we've been able to help them go through the mediation process.
Yes.
And finally, they are able to agree and now move to court as a unit.
Yes.
And they get their share.
Yes.
The other one is a lot of family neglect cases. We've had success stories of whereby parties come, you realize maybe the conflict was just a simple misunderstanding that made them not to sit down and agree on how they're supposed to support their children.
Yes.
And we've had, the case that comes to mind is we've had a case of a lady. I think we started supporting her when the girl was about, I don't know when she was in class 5. And you speak right now, she's in second year outside the country. Funny enough, she's doing law, or good enough, she's doing law.
Yes.
And every time the mother come to our office just to say thank you, because we were able, actually no, this went up to court, because now mediation could not work.
Yes.
We prepared pleadings for her. She went to court. The matter proceeded to full trial.
Yes.
The father could not support. Until now, we had to get to a point whereby we had to enforce judgment by ensuring that there's a warrant of arrest. But of course, now when he saw there's a warrant of arrest, now he agreed to pay his school fees. Yes. But of course, now we don't want all cases to go at that length. Yes. And of course, now the other one that was handled by my colleague, and we have a very elderly man that even expressing himself, it was a challenge. And this man had worked for KBC Bank, and he retired. He had not received his pension for quite some time. And this, I would say, this was one of the persistent clients. He kept on coming, and you know what? It only took one letter. And that guy was able to get his pension. So we've had a lot of success story. We say one of our challenge is it's very overwhelming because there's such a huge demand for legal services. And of course, in these times, that economy is also very, very, very. So you find that people have legal issues. You see, actually, the other time we were discussing, we were saying, you know, the same way people have health issues. Now we are having people with legal issues. And again, they have nowhere to go. As I mentioned, we are not in all the 47 counties. And this is because of limited resources. But now, we are trying to move slowly by slowly. And see, like now,
Asante sana, Madam Fresiah. It is much privilege being in our studio. Actually, at this late time, to appreciate. I also want to thank our viewers at both Ndereti FM and Simpra TV, to our viewers who have been commenting, supporting, sharing, and liking. Much appreciation. The entire week we'll be having the Office of National Legal Aid Service, and we are much privileged that I attended the training here in Kiambu. I was trained as a paralegal, and we were very much happy that now we started a Kiambu Legal Aid Network under the mentorship of Madam Anwainena. Tunashukuru sana. Sisi tutaweka sema kwa hili, tupatane kesho asubuhi saa 1:30 tujue conversation ni gani. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, go ahead. Bye-bye.